Good morning, one and all. Let me first of all congratulate organizers for this mega event. I express my deepest gratitude towards Professor Kisheng Wang for giving me opportunity to speak at this reputed international workshop on advanced manufacturing and automation. The title of my talk is Tool Condition Monitoring in Machining, Artificial Intelligence Approach. So here I will start with the introduction to tool condition monitoring. Then I will be talking about data acquisition methods, different types of sensors, processing methods, and finally towards the end I will be talking about AI classifiers. Now in machining, the quality of the part depends upon the tool and the condition of the cutting tool. So it is important to know what is the condition of the tool at any point in time, and also we should be able to predict how much is the remaining useful life of the tool. So two things are important: what is the present state of the cutting tool, how much is the tool wear, whether it's good, wear is more or less, whether is broken or it's fine. So all these things are to be known. So are to be known. So that's why we require tool condition monitoring system that will help us in identifying the condition of the cutting tool. Now in the fourth industrial revolution, this becomes even more important for us to know the condition of the cutting tool. Okay, now if we see the different operations, say operations on milling, turning, milling, drilling. So on all these operations we make use of cutting tools, and the cutting tools will wear, and the two types of wears, crater wear and flank wear, these are the two wears which are gradual in nature, whereas breakage and chipping and other categories are abrupt in nature. So we should have a tool condition monitoring system which can detect abnormality, maybe the sudden changes, or they should be also able to detect the minor changes in terms of crater wear and flank wear. Okay, so out of crater wear and flank wear is of more importance, and these are the parameters which are associated with flank wear. So VB max or VB average, these are the two parameters which are used for measuring flank wear. Okay, now here this is the big picture for tool condition monitoring, or we can say machining condition monitoring system. Here everything starts from the process. We monitor the process. In order to monitor the process, we deploy sensors. So different types of sensors are placed on the machine for monitoring various processes, and these sensors will acquire the information, and this information which these sensors acquire, that has to be processed. It will be processed in different domains, and useful features are extracted out of it, and finally these features are fed to artificial intelligence classifiers. There are a number of them, and these classifiers will give the condition of the cutting tool. So they will estimate, they will predict what is the state of the cutting tool, and based whatever is the condition of the cutting tool, we want to display that information on a panel at the CNC control panel. So this information will go to the operator, that how much is the tool wear now, and how much is the remaining useful life for that tool. So this information can also be used for adaptive control of machine tools, where we change the machining parameters so that the tool life is enhanced and the part quality is also improved. Okay, so this is the total big picture. Now we will be looking at the processing data acquisition methods. So coming to the data acquisition methods, we can see there are basically four methods: two online methods and two offline methods. Starting with offline methods, first we talk about direct methods. Offline method, direct method, that means we will be removing the tool from the machine and making the measurements on a microscope, say tool maker's microscope. So this is quite accurate method, but a lot of time is wasted. We cannot use it for a production environment. So it is more or less related to laboratory practices, and where we intend to study about machining. Okay. There are other methods also, radioactivity and electrical resistance methods, but these methods are discontinued now. But the making measurements on 2 makers microscope is still in practice. Coming next is we have offline indirect methods. Here offline means we will be removing the tool or the part from the machine, and then we will make measurements. So what happens when the tool wears the size of the machined part? It will change, so it will become oversized. So we will be measuring the size of the workpiece, and based upon that we will be making the estimate how much is the tool wear, and accordingly we can take corrective actions. Corrective actions could be making adjustments in the tool offset. So this is the indirect method. Both these are this is the indirect method and offline method also. So it's a time consuming method, so not recommended for tool condition monitoring systems. Okay, now the next method is online direct method. Now here we make use of vision systems. High speed, high resolution cameras are deployed, and the pictures are grabbed at loading and unloading intervals, and then processing is done in order to find out how much is the tool wear and predict the remaining useful life of the tool. So this method, machine vision systems, they have a great potential and can be used for tool condition monitoring systems. Next method, again this one it belongs to category of online, but this method is now indirect method. Here we make use of cutting forces, vibrations, and so on and so forth. So these can be calibrated. So as the tool wears, with the wearing of tool, how the cutting forces and vibrations are changing, that can be correlated with the flank wear, and we can estimate how much is the wear of the cutting tool. So both force and vibrations, they have been studied extensively to understand the machining processes and to estimate the tool wear. Okay, now coming to different sensors that can be used for tool condition monitoring. Here first sensor we have is cutting force and torque sensors. So these are the sensors. They are also called dynamometers. Basically dynamometers are of two types: piezoelectric and strain gauge based. Strain gauge based are relatively cheap, whereas piezoelectric based sensors are accurate, and obviously it will be expensive. So here in this figure we can see the first two are the dynamometers which are used on milling machine. The first one is fixed on the table. The second one is fixed on the spindle, and here there is no contact between the spindle and the dynamometer which is used here, so it can pick up the forces coming on each insert. The bottom two are used on a lathe machine. Cutting forces dynamometers are extensively used, but the information which they give, say the force sensors, the information which comes from here is the force information. It is sensitive to cutting fluids, and the signals may drift and it can cause fluctuations. So these are the drawbacks which are associated with dynamometers, but otherwise for research work these are fantastic devices. Vibrations are also studied quite extensively. There are different sensors that can be used, accelerometers, along with the data acquisition systems, and the information can be obtained in the computer. And then we have algorithms, dedicated algorithms for making decisions, extracting the features and making decisions. Now the problem with the vibrations is there can be many sources of vibration on a machine, so it becomes really difficult to detect that the vibrations are really coming from the tool wear, or there is some other source of that vibration. So that's why this is a drawback which is associated with vibrations. Okay. Now coming to the next sensor, which is the acoustic emission. Now acoustic emission is basically it's a high frequency sound generated by the material when load is applied on it. So it is also referred to as crying of the material. So the range of acoustic emission is wide. It starts from say 50 kilohertz to 1 megahertz. So this is the wide frequency band for acoustic emissions, and researchers have shown that they are quite good at monitoring the abrupt changes, That means the breakage on the cutting tool, and they are also sensitive to gradual wear. So both can be monitored very easily with the help of acoustic emission sensors. And moreover, the acoustic emission sensors, they are available wired or wireless. So wireless things are quite useful in the fourth industrial revolution. So they have the acoustic emissions, they have great potential to be used as tool condition monitoring devices for the fourth industrial revolution. Okay, now the next part is power or current. So as the tool wears, the load on the cutting tool will increase, which has to be taken which is virtually taken up by the motor. So motor will withdraw more current, and that current or the power drawn by the motor can be directly correlated with the tool wear. So these sensors are quite cheap sensors, and it is easy to get the information and correlate it with the tool wear. They can sense catastrophic tool breakage. At the same time, they can also sense gradual tool wear. So these sensors are also they are great sensors which can be deployed for tool condition monitoring systems. Okay, now coming to the temperature sensors, extensively used. Thermocouples are used. Some researchers, they have made workpiece and tool combination as a thermocouple. Otherwise, separate thermocouples are also available, which can be plugged in with the data acquisition cards, and the information can be stored. But more or less, they are not of much use for tool condition monitoring systems, but for laboratory for laboratory environment and for studying machining, these are good candidates. Now coming to the trends, if we see how the trends are drifting over the years in measurements, if we see the optical measurements, they are gaining lot of attention. So this data, it starts from say 89, it goes up to say 2019. So we can see that the information, the trend, the interest of various researchers in this domain of optical measurements is increasing. At the same time, the information, the interest in the domain of acoustic emission is also increasing. Cutting power is also increasing, whereas the cutting forces and vibrations, they remain almost constant. But here, for optical measurements, acoustic emission and cutting power, there is a drastic change. There is a drastic drift in the interest of various scientists in this domain over the years. Now coming to the signal processing methods. Once we have deployed the sensor, now we want to the sensor is deployed on the machine for acquiring the information. Now once that raw data is with us, we want to do processing, and we want to filter out and extract the useful information from the data. Now this useful information can be obtained. It can be obtained in different domains. So for example, the information can be in time domain, it could be in frequency, it could be time and frequency both, and there is a statistics domain also. Okay, now coming to the time domain, it's easy to have the information in the time domain, and it can be correlated well with tool wear. So cutting forces, acoustic emission, surface roughness, all this data can be correlated well with tool wear if it is in time domain. But the drawback with time domain data is they are prone to disturbances. So frequency domain is preferred. Frequency domain, so fast Fourier transformation method is used in order to get the information from time domain to frequency domain. In this figure, the information is in time domain, and then using FFT, it comes in the frequency domain. Now here we have clear frequencies. Maybe this frequency could be linked with the tool wear. So whereas the tool wears, this frequency, the amplitude of this frequency will change, which can be easily calibrated to know how much is the wear. So another signal processing method is time frequency domain. So these are also referred to as wavelet transformation. So recently, lot of attention is towards wavelet transformation, as they give information in time and frequency, both the domains. So researchers they have used wavelets for force, vibration, and acoustic emission, and this is a really great domain and has a lot of potential which can be deployed. It can be deployed as tool condition monitoring methods. Statistical domain. Extensive work has been done in this domain. So experimental data, generating regression models, and used in industry extensively. But over the years, now that the interest of researchers is declining in this domain, the reason is the statistical methods mostly they are linear models, and they are unable to explain non-linearity between the independent and the dependent variables. So these are not good candidates for tool condition monitoring systems. Now coming to AI classifiers. Now, so whatever the sensor has acquired the signals, that signal is processed in appropriate domain, and now that feature which is extracted by the the features which are extracted, they are to be processed, and they are fed to AI classifiers. There are plenty of classifiers which are used, so like ANN, fuzzy logic, neurofuzzy, genetic algorithms, and support vector machines, but primarily we will be focusing our attention on the first three. Okay, now coming to the first classifier, artificial neural network, so ANN. So here we try to develop a relationship between input. We basically map input and the output. So here in the input, what can we have? We can have the various parameters that we set on the machine. On the output side, we can have the tool wear, whatever we are looking for, tool wear, or it could be say cutting forces or things like that. So mapping of input and output is done through these hidden layers, and these methods are basically neural networks, or neural networks or artificial intelligence classifiers are basically data driven models. So more data we have, more accurate is our prediction. Not only that, the data has to be the raw data has to be clean and relevant. Then only we will be able to predict. Predict nicely. Okay, so these are extensively studied, and they have been applied in all the domains, especially when we are talking about tool condition monitoring. And then here, what is less studied is so basically ANN is supervised. ANN mostly it is a supervised learning algorithm. So whereas the unsupervised learning algorithms are less studied. Supervised learning means we have input, we know what is based upon related to the input, what is the output, how much is the tool wear, that is known to us. This is the meaning of supervised learning. So we train the model based upon the data that we have. In unsupervised learning, we don't know what is the output, but we just have various parameters, but we don't know what is the output. So unsupervised learning, the in unsupervised learning, the output will be formed in the shape of clusters, and then those clusters uh, can be labeled as, say, good tool, moderate tool, or worn tool, like that. So there is a lot of potential to work in this domain of unsupervised networks. Okay. Next classifier we have is fuzzy logic. Again, this is also this has also been studied by many researchers, and they are quite quick at decision making, is fast as compared to neural network, and they are quite good, but they suffer difficulties in establishing functional relationship between input and output. This is the drawback associated with fuzzy logic. So an alternative to this is there is a combination of neuro and fuzzy. This is what we have used in the past in one of our research, where we have created models using NFIS. It's called adaptive neuro fuzzy inference system. So here on the input side we have information about time, forces, vibration, and acoustic emission. Based upon these inputs, we are able to predict how much is the tool wear. So the prediction capabilities of this algorithm are really great. So quite accurately they are able to predict the information. So the drawbacks associated, the individual drawbacks associated with ANN or with fuzzy logic, they are completely eliminated here. So they are quite good, and prediction capabilities, they're quite fast, and the prediction capability is also quite accurate. So here in this figure we can see the trend over the years in signal processing. So we can see that again this table is from 89 to 19. We can see that the information, the interest of various researchers, it is increasing in the domain of wavelets. So wavelet, it is increasing, interest is increasing, whereas the interest in statistical methods, it is going down. Now coming to the conclusions. Now measurements obtained by optical imaging technique, these are the most accurate. We make use of toolmaker's microscope for this, and the results are repeatable and in toolware, but more or less they are related to only laboratory settings. Okay, now coming to the signal acquisition, vibration and acoustics emissions, the sensors, the vibration sensors, the vibration information, and the information obtained by acoustic emission sensors, it's easy to obtain it, and in the industrial setting. So they are great potential for two condition monitoring, but at the same time they are less accurate. Now coming to online indirect measuring methods. So here we have force sensors especially. So they are quite accurate and they are well tested in laboratory environment, but they cannot be deployed in a real industrial setup because cost is really high and maintenance is also high. So there are many machines and many processes in actual industrial setup. So it is difficult to deploy the force sensors. Online indirect measuring methods, the force sensor is one important sensor there. Now coming to the power and current measurement, these are like very reliable sensors, and we can capture a lot of information using these sensors. So they are great potential for two condition monitoring systems. Now coming to offline tool and part measurement systems, Here we make use of optical microscopes and other instruments for making measurements. The results are quite accurate, but the only drawback is there is the production time is lost. Again, when production time is lost, they cannot be used for tool condition monitoring system, because here everything whatever we want to do, we want to do in actual industrial setup. Okay, coming to the next one, we have on-machine online optical measurement methods. So machine vision, so they are really a great potential. They have a great potential for becoming the best, I would say, the best tool condition monitoring system, machine vision systems. Okay, when we talk about the how to extract the features, then wavelets, time frequency domain, wavelets are the best candidates, best choice, followed by frequency domain, and then the third one, last in this line we have, is the time domain. Now coming to decision making, neural networks is extensively studied, followed by fuzzy logic, but neurofuzzy they offer more accurate results, and the drawbacks of both the neural network and fuzzy, they are taken care of when it is combined neuro fuzzy systems. Okay, now and these scientists, researchers, they have used it for vibrations, this neuro fuzzy systems, for vibrations, acoustic emission, and power signals. Overall, if we have to conclude, we can say that optical imaging, by deploying the cameras, high speed cameras, we can create a machine vision system, and then the power and current sensors are also a great potential. Then acoustic emission data, these three, they seem to be quite promising for tool condition monitoring systems. All these supported by the time frequency domain, that's like wavelet analysis for feature extraction, and neurofuzzy techniques for decision making. And this is what we can conclude from this. These are some of the references, and thank you.